Okay, so for some reason, dispositions and transactional coordination are two of the most overcomplicated topics in all of wholesaling. And as most of you guys know already, my thoughts on dispositions is that you shouldn't really have any issues as long as you're locking up proper deals. Because if you do the underwriting well and you can bring an opportunity to someone where they can make $30,000 to $40,000 on a deal, they're going to have no issue with that. And obviously, you shouldn't have any issue selling that type of deal. So remember, most of your dispositions problems come from the fact that your acquisition skills aren't the best, or there's something in your acquisitions procedure that isn't optimized properly, right? So you need to address that first and then nail down your dispositions process. So if you're someone who knows your acquisitions process is already good and is already dialed in, and you just don't really know how to find buyers and you don't know how to get in contact with good buyers, then this is going to be the video for you. So just make sure you watch till the end, take notes, and apply what I'm going to say. That's the most important part. First thing I want to go over is talking about terms and how to outline these terms to buyers. So you have to make sure these buyers know that the second the assignment is signed, we're dealing with non-refundable earnest, so they're not getting their earnest money deposit back. We need earnest money deposited within a day. We're not going to be using their title company because we don't want to be giving them leverage. We don't want to be using their title company or closing attorney. And then also they're going to be covering all closing costs, title fees, and any type of transfer tax of any of that sort. They're going to be covering all closing costs. Seller doesn't really have to deal with any of that burden. Obviously, seller's going to have to deal with any encumbrances on their end. But in our case, we want the buyer to cover everything else because that's a part of our pitch, right? We would be providing no value to the seller if we weren't able to provide that service. Second is vetting buyers. You need to make sure every single buyer that is interested in your deal and wants to work with you is properly vetted, right? You need to have proof of funds, proof of lending. You need to make sure they actually do flips. So tell them to send you a couple flips, tell them to show you their work. And if they don't do that, and if they have a problem with that, chances are they are a bad buyer and you shouldn't even work with them. Every single good buyer that I have closed with, so 50 plus people by now, they have no problem providing me with every single piece of evidence that they are legit. There's no issue with it anytime. Anytime someone gives you problems, you don't want to work with them. Trust me, stay very tight on your terms with these buyers because they will ruin your deals. Number 3, scheduling walkthroughs. So obviously we do this business completely virtually, and we usually just send out buyers to walk these properties. So first things first, we obviously get a signed purchase and sale. We don't want to be marketing a property where we don't have the purchase and sale signed. Second, we just want to tell the seller that a partner on the deal, a capital partner, a contractor, an inspector, whatever you want to call them, is going to be walking the property and taking some photos and obviously, making sure everything is in check. Now, you could send out 2 to 3 people on one walkthrough. In that case, just say they're all partners, and then you have to coordinate with each of those buyers that obviously they're on the same page, right? You don't want to tell one buyer that he's going to go alone and then he shows up and 2 other guys are there because he's going to be like, what the fuck is going on? Who are these people? And what do I do with them? How am I supposed to frame this? You have to plan it out as the wholesaler. That's your job. You have to make sure everyone's on the same page. It's very common to do multiple people in one walkthrough, so don't shy away from doing that. But also, you don't want to surprise any of your buyers because that's just bad business. Number 4 is what you do with tenant-occupied properties. So with tenant-occupied properties, you just need to make sure the seller gets in touch with the tenant and coordinates the walkthrough for you. So it just adds another step. Remember, we don't assign deals unless the buyer already puts their eyes on the property because all assignments are final, right? You can't back out after that assignment is signed. Once that assignment is signed, we're opening title, you're depositing your earnest, and you're not getting that shit back, and you have to close with us. Number 5, I just want to go over the difference between a title company versus attorney state because some people are confused about that. Title company states require title companies to complete all real estate transactions and title work. Attorney states require a licensed attorney to do all of the title work and preparing the deed and transferring of title and all of that. So just search up what state you're marketing in. Is it an attorney state or is it a title company state? And then you'll be fine from there. Next topic I'd like to go over is the dispo process and how to actually find these buyers. The best way to find buyers as a beginner is just Facebook. It's super simple. You don't want to overcomplicate it. Just make an account, make it look legit, make it look like you're an established wholesaler, and start posting, right? Don't post your deals in group chats. If you have a property, don't post the address, the pictures, and post something with a little bit of clickbait, I like to call it. Just say something like, hey, I got a deal in this area, right? ARV 200K, needs about 50K in work, potential to make 50 to 60 grand on this deal. DM me if you're interested, right? That stirs up a lot of attention because people are like, oh shit, this guy might have a banger deal. He's going to DM you. And then from there, you can obviously vet them before you send them the deal. And that just makes it so there's not too many eyes on the property that you're trying to market. Number 2 is realtors. So always work with realtors if you're a beginner because they take a smaller fee than working with a wholesaler, and then also realtors will usually be able to bring you some of the best buyers. That's because realtors oftentimes have a very personal connection with their buyers. So they're able to usually get you a really good price because they're able to kind of negotiate because they have leverage on their end that they have that pre-existing relationship with their buyer. Number 3 is JVing with wholesalers. This is always a good route, right? If you don't want to worry about anything, if you want to make sure everything's kind of handled for you and make sure the deal's good, like it's your first or second deal or something like that, just JV with someone else, right? Give them their 30, 40, 50% or whatever they take and just make sure the deal gets done, right? You'd rather get paid $5,000 than get paid nothing. So take what you can get, rebound that into just closing more. And guys, with the dispo process, like just build up your reputation as a good wholesaler. Don't send people shitty deals. Don't lock up random 500-acre lots in the middle of Texas because you just thought it was a deal. Like make sure you get your numbers reviewed. Make sure you're only sending out real good deals. And that's how you're going to build your reputation up. You're not going to build your reputation up by sending buyers shitty deals. Trust me, it just will make you look like a dumbass. The last topic I'd like to talk about is title company / transactional coordination work. It's very simple. People overcomplicate it. First thing you obviously have to do is find a title company. So the way you can do this is by asking other wholesalers. So if you're working in like Detroit, let's say, join a group chat, see if anybody works with any type of Detroit wholesale friendly title companies. If they do, give them a shot, right? If it's an area where that's not really easily accessible, like it's a very small town, just Google title companies in that area and start calling around and asking if they're familiar with assignments. The things you'd want to look out for in terms of like a bad title company is one, make sure they're not like ancient people. Like if it's like an old ass person, I probably wouldn't work with them. You want to work with like younger people because they're usually doing more modern business. Number 2, you don't want to work with anyone that gives you attitude over the phone. If they're just a complete asshole to you, don't work with them. They're going to make the process way harder. And number 3, obviously make sure they're familiar with assignments and what a wholesaler is. Because I've had times where I've used a title company and we've gotten to the point where they drafted up the HUD and I had to explain to them what a wholesaler was, which is crazy to me how in 2025, how popularized wholesaling has become, that a professional title agency wouldn't know what a wholesaler is. But, you know, obviously I found out. The next step from there, once you find a good title company, is you wait until that deal is assigned. So you don't open title until the deal is assigned. Then you open title by sending in the PSA, assignment, and any other addendums to the email address of that title company, right? They should have like an orders email address. And then instantly you get the buyer to drop EMD for you, right? We never really drop our own EMD on deals simply because we just get the buyer to do it for us, and it's, you know, we don't have to come out of pocket any money. There's no risk on our end. So if my EMD on the original purchase and sale is $500, I'll get the buyer to drop $5K. I'll make that $4.5K difference if the buyer defaults on the deal and doesn't close, and I'll also be able to pay the seller their $500, and all is well, and I don't have to front any actual money for EMD. Now, sometimes a seller can be a pain in the ass, and they'll be like, yeah, you need to drop the EMD within, 10 minutes of me signing this contract, or else I'm going to back out and, do all this shit. In that case, okay, maybe it's fine to come out of pocket if it's a good enough deal, but most of the times we just get the buyer to drop EMD. And then finally, you want to follow up with the title company 4 to 5 times during this entire process. Just basically follow up on them with the big items. So title search, how is that going? When is it going to be complete? When the title search is done, obviously, is there anything that needs to be cleared up on my end? Do you need anything from me? Are we good to close? Second, schedule closing. And then from there, you should be good. You don't really need to stay on the title company's ass. You got to remember, they're getting paid to do this work. They're getting paid to do that deal and close on it. So if they don't do their job, they're usually not going to get paid. So it's not like you really have to sit there and babysit them. Like, they know that, and they're going to try their best to get the deal done. Also, keep the seller looped in. You don't want the seller backing out last minute. So every 2 to 3 days, make sure the seller knows what's going on, right? If you're 20 days into the title process and your seller hasn't heard from you in the last 3 weeks since you got the contract, chances are they're not going to sign for you at closing table because they're going to be like, yo, this dude fucking forgot about us. And that's obviously the last thing we want to happen is, seller not signing at closing. That is the absolute worst situation to deal with. All right, boys, that's going to be about it for this video. Obviously, I just wanted to go over the quick topics of dispositions and transactional coordination. If you guys have any questions with any of those topics, drop them down below. I'll be sure to answer And yeah, boys, I mean, it seems complicated, and you always want to make sure you stay out of trouble with these type of things. So if you want someone in your corner one-to-one and you want to work directly with me and Hunter, there's a link in the description down below. You can apply to work with us. It's a full one-on-one program, and we basically only choose 20 guys at a time that we handpick to work with us. I've said this a couple times now, but the goal behind it is we want to build up a team of 20 people that can actually close deals, not just a big, massive group of people who have no clue what the fuck they're doing. We like to individualize our efforts and not really make this some massive scale thing with coaches and stuff involved. It's literally just me, you, and Hunter, one-to-one, and we really focus on our quality control. So if you're super serious and you just want someone in your corner to oversee your process, apply down below. And yeah, boys, other than that, leave a like, leave a sub, and I'll see you guys in the next wholesaling video. Peace.